The Indiana Fever began the Caitlin Clark era in 2024 and took the WNBA world by storm. The year of 2025 could be when the Fever really make a mark as one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. That's a possibility with the addition of new Fever head coach Stephanie White, who bolted out of an aging Connecticut Sun team to lead a neophyte Fever core that just ended a 7-year postseason drought. White's return to Indiana is a homecoming for the fifth-year head coach. She began her WNBA head coaching career in Indiana 2015-16 and spent 4 of her 5 WNBA playing years, 2004 there as well. But will the homecoming turn into a lasting, fulfilling tenure? But there is one glaring issue for Clark that White's new system must address: turnovers. The assist leader, 8.4, turned the ball over the most in 2024, averaging 5.6 per game. Her average of 5.6 is 2 more than second-place holder Alyssa Thomas and 2.6 more than third-place holders Natasha Cloud, Kalia Copper, and De'Erica Hamby. Clark also owns the WNBA single-season total turnover record of 223, 78 more than Thomas' previous record set in 2023. Turnovers by a young player with high usage rates, her 26.2% ranks 9th in the WNBA, can be expected. But the next step in Clark's evolution is to rack up those assist numbers at a way lower turnover rate. That's where White comes in. A goal for White could be to implement a system that doesn't totally abandon the Fever's high-paced offense while keeping turnover numbers down for the star guard. Forward Lisa Smith began her WNBA career in 2022 and quickly looked primed to be one of the league's brightest youngsters. Her ascension continued in 2023, when her points per game ballooned from 13.5 to 15.5. But in 2024, her points per game, 10.6, and shot attempts, 8.8, hit career lows under head coach Christy Sides. Alongside Clark and Aaliyah Boston, a more involved Smith could form a big three in Indiana for the foreseeable future. They'll all enter the 2025 season under the age of 24 and have spent a season with each other already. The two forwards Boston and Smith don't space the floor, but Clark's range, gravity, and playmaking generates opportunities for the bigs on each possession. That should be a focus for White in 2025. However, Smith's involvement in the offense hinges greatly on Kelsey Mitchell's decision this offseason. The 28-year-old Mitchell, who averaged career highs in points, 19.2, and field goal percentage, 46.8, in her 7th season in Indiana, is an unrestricted free agent. A departure for Mitchell, who played in her second All-Star game in 2024, makes White's youth movement in Indiana a more seamless move. If Mitchell stays, Smith may never got her chance at being a second or third option with the Fever. And showcasing offensive talents is crucial for Smith, who is due for unrestricted free agency at the end of the 2025 season. The 2024 Fever were never mentioned much, if at all, for their defensive prowess. The defensive-minded White enters Indiana being known for leading a physical, bruising Sun team that won its games on that side of the floor. This is an easy marriage for both parties. Even with the countless offensive possibilities for the Fever, defense has to be at the top of the list. The Fever won't have willing defenders like all-world defender Thomas, most improved player DeJohnai Carrington, or 2021 All-Defense second-team selection Brianna Jones, but they'll have a new coach ready to emphasize that defense will be just as important as offense. And quite frankly, the chances are White won't have the 2025 Fever perform worse than the 2024 team did under Sides. In 2024, the Fever ranked second worst in opponents' points per game, 87.7, and defensive rating, 107.5. And Fever opponents enjoyed getting out on the break just like they did, leading to a third worst rank in fast break points allowed, 11.3. Here comes White, who led the Sun to a league-best offensive rating, 94.1, and opponents' points per game mark, 73.6. The issue, though, is Indiana lacks a point of attack defender like Carrington and Thomas, who comfortably defends 1 through 5. But the numbers suggest that a White-led team can figure out those issues on that side of the floor. One day before the national title game, Clark was asked another variation of the legacy question: what message would you like to share with those women who helped blaze this trail to have women's basketball shining like it is today? I would say the biggest thing is just thank you, Clark said. That's what I always talk about, is women's basketball isn't just suddenly good. It's been good. It isn't just the people that are in the college game right now. It's every single person that's come before us. And I don't think it's only women's basketball. I think you see it across the board, whether it's softball, whether it's gymnastics, volleyball. People want to watch. It's just when they're given the opportunity, the research and the facts show that people love it. Everything Clark did for women's college basketball is spilling into the WNBA. For all of the exhausting arguments over the summer, ranging from the Olympic team snub to the Rookie of the Year debate and everything in between, Clark has remained grounded. Was she the best player in the WNBA? No, that distinction clearly belonged to A'ja Wilson, who averaged 26.9 points and 11.9 rebounds per game in a record-setting campaign. Clark didn't win a national title or a WNBA championship this season, but there is still time to claim a championship. Her marketing appeal lifted the WNBA into a bright spotlight it should enjoy for years and years to come. With the avalanche of success, Clark has continued to garner more endorsements. Through it all, she has remained an almost reluctant superstar with a massive following. When it comes to fame, time and time again we see that in some of the biggest moments of her career, she's refrained from the spotlight to shine a light on her teammates and those around her, Cook said. She truly embodies what it means to assist. Behind the stellar basketball player is a high-character leader who has inspired countless people, young girls and so many others, in her community and globally, she said. Watkins had 920 points in 34 games as a freshman, compared to Clark's 799 in 30. Juju currently has amassed 1,248 to Caitlin's 1,230 through the same number of games played in her sophomore year. However, Clark picked up the pace significantly as a junior and senior. Not to mention she wound up averaging 27 points per game in her second season, while Watkins is currently producing at a clip of 25.2 per contest in hers. Clark upped her scoring average almost a full point to 27.8 in her third year with the Hawkeyes and then went absolutely ballistic in her final season and putting up 31.6 points per game. This coincided with her squad making deep runs to the championship game in both campaigns, meaning the total games played was also higher and thus the volume of points produced was as well. Watkins currently sits 2,703 points behind Clark's record mark. Without a set total of games to work with, given we don't know how far the Trojans will advance in the tournaments each year, there's not a specific average she must maintain in order to get there, but we can look at the ballpark numbers. We'll use Clark's total games played as the benchmark. Given Iowa won 3 Big Ten tournaments and went to the aforementioned national championship game twice, that is a fairly ambitious number. Clark played a total of 139 games in college. Watkins is currently at 47, which means the USC standout would have 92 games to go in this scenario. With an assumed 92 more games to play, Watkins would need to average 29.4 points per contest from here on out in order to catch Clark. Of course, the number would come down slightly with a few more games tacked on. But as is, that is 4 points higher than her average this season and 2 more than she averaged a season ago. Which means on pace is a relative term. Because as awesome as Watkins has been thus far in her college career, she'll have to up her scoring stats significantly to actually break Clark's NCAA scoring record. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark is undoubtedly the biggest brand ambassador of Wilson basketball today. That being said, one would expect the popular sporting goods brand to be perfect when it comes to promoting her. Unfortunately, Wilson recently committed a rather common mistake when it comes to Clark, which was spotted in its flagship store in New York. While selling a couple of items from Clark's basketball series with the brand the Caitlin Clark Ascent and Caitlin Clark Repetition basketball products, the store displayed a white paper sheet showing the prices of the products. On it, the Fever Guard's name was spelled incorrectly. As mentioned, it's a common mistake among fans and followers, with many supporters online often spelling Caitlin with the Y instead of the last I. However, for a brand as big as Wilson, and considering that they have a multi-year partnership with Caitlin Clark, it's certainly quite surprising that it was overlooked.